Let's give it a try. All right, here we go.
How many shows use this song?
That is a great intro. Good morning. Welcome to Innovative Strategies right here, 21/6 and at Innovative Strategies with Bill Haase, the This Ain't Your Grandpa's Money show. We're going to give you some innovative strategies and ways to think about how you can live life, well, financially stress-free, perhaps.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Do it.
That would be nice. How you doing?
Good. Today, where are you at?
Yeah, where are you at? I mean, that's a good question because I talk to a lot of people, and when I first sit down and have that first conversation, most people don't know where they're at financially.
Right.
I mean, most people don't even know. Some don't even know all the different investment accounts that they have.
Yeah.
Or because they like consultants change jobs all the time, right? Get 401ks here, 401ks there, maybe a little bit of pension somewhere, if you're lucky. Like I said, I've been handled shoeboxes full of unopened statements from people, and they don't know what they have, and it's interesting because then your spouse doesn't know. What if something happens to you, and your spouse doesn't even know where to go looking for the money?
Right.
And we always say this, right? That we know spouses don't talk to each other about finance, but it's true, and you see it quite often. But
well, and we've created a world. I've been in the financial industry now over 20 years in banking, right?
Right.
But we've created a world where we don't want you to know where you're at.
Oh, you bet. Pull out those the statements that you get quarterly, and I guarantee you it'll be hard pressed to figure out where your money's all at and how it's divided up and what you're being charged. Good luck finding that aspect of it.
Right.
What is it costing you and everything? Yeah, it's designed to keep you confused.
Yeah. And now we go paperless. So now you just never used to open it when it came in the mail, and now you don't even know you got it.
Yeah. Right. You know where to go online to go check it out,
right,
or look it up, or make any changes or adjustments or anything. And people don't know what they're paying. It's kind of like there is a certain commercial for a company out there that says, we don't charge commissions. We make money when you make money. Well, that means you're paying a percentage. Okay, that's what it comes down to, and that percentage is very, very important.
We don't make money unless you make money.
Yeah, I don't know who that is, but anyway,
it's still commission.
It is. We're charging you money, and and I'm not a fan of that in many instances, especially if your money's all invested in mutual funds. Mutual funds are already managed. Why pay a management fee to somebody else? When the money's already being managed. I'd rather pay a commission for that guy putting me into that investment, that mutual fund or exchange traded funds, ETFs are called. I'd rather put my money in there, pay a one-time fee, and then going forward, I'm good. But they just don't. Everybody does things differently, so that's why it's important to work with somebody that is clear and explains what you're doing, both investment-wise and insurance-wise. I go through that a lot with insurance. I got a policy. I don't know what it is. I don't know who it's with. I don't know how much it's worth.
Wow.
Is it making money or not making money? And it's just that's just because the advisor didn't explain what you have. Because what you have is a tool, and it's a tool that you want to have, just like a lot of other tools. Investing is a tool, right? Insurance is a tool. Annuities are a tool. Long-term care is a tool. These are all tools that you have in your bag that are special that you pull out to use when it's needed. But again, we get back to where are you? Do you know where you stand? A lot of folks spend every day following the market. Oh, it's up, it's down, it's all over the place and everything. Well, why are you following the market if you don't even know where you stand? You know you have investments, so you know if it goes down, you didn't have as good a day. If it goes up, you have you feel a little bit better. But if you don't know where you're at and where your investments are, then you really can't gauge or judge whether they're working for you or not.
Yeah. Well, and as we were talking in the green room a little bit, it's such a society now of I give you money, I get something. So when you're talking about the strategies that you're looking at, I give you money, I may not get something for, until I cash out or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we were talking about that.
Yeah.
You don't know what the value is until you actually lock it in. Right.
Right.
Yeah. You can see the profits possibly, but if you don't lock it in, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Just yet, and it doesn't matter which stage you're at. Where you at can be for anybody from just getting out of college and starting to work to all the way up to you're into retirement. Because it's like I've said, when I was with my father and his buddies would go home right after lunch and they would all check the markets. Where's their money at?
Yeah.
It's like, really? That's not how I would want to live. If you had a plan. You go to networking groups. A lot of you have small businesses. You go to networking groups, and what you'll find are a good portion of the people in the networking groups are people well into retirement age.
Right on.
Why are they doing it? Why are they still beating the street?
Yeah,
because they don't have a plan.
The plan is I'm going to work till I die. Right.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you love doing what you do, as I do, I'm going to be able to do mine well into retirement. My job. I know other advisors that are well into their 70s that are still active because they love doing it.
Yeah. Well, the average age of a mortgage broker, which I am, is 47. So that's moved up,
So you brought that up a little bit. Huh?
Yeah, I have. But, so that just tells you in your type of job, my industry, your industry is, if you enjoy it, which most people do, and you figured it out, it's really a good, you can do it until you die, really.
Well,
do a couple loans here, do some investing there.
We always hear do what you love.
Yeah.
And you'll never work a day in your life. That's not easy.
No.
I didn't find that. Well, I did when I spent 20 years in the trading pits, and I loved that. That was a lot of fun. But did I ever think I'd find another job that I would enjoy as much, if not more? And I didn't think so. And I did find it. Took about 10 years to find it again, but so, it's out there.
So in a world that who just goes through life financially through a forest or without a light in a cave, really, because that's what we've designed it to be.
Blinders on, yeah.
Yeah. How do you find out where you are?
Well, take a little bit of stock and just like if you're in the world that you have a 401k, it's good to pay attention to that on a quarterly basis at the very least. Once a year, your company's going to tell you, go online, hear this prospectus of the different options and opportunities that you can take advantage of to invest in. Nobody does. Nobody wants to read a prospectus. It's a lot of pages long. It's very fine, small print. And it just has a lot of, jargon that's from our industry that most people don't understand. And so they don't even look at it unless you're trying to fall asleep. But, but you still need to pay attention. Yeah. How well is your investment done? You can take stock. Where did it start at the beginning of the year? Where is it at the end of the year? That's the simplest way of taking stock of it. But and then seeing if it's gone up or stayed flat or whatnot. There's a lot of tools out there that people still use that are absolutely pointless. CDs, money markets, even bonds are pretty much pointless because you're not getting the return that's helping you enhance your position because the cost of living is higher than the returns that you're getting from those types of investments. But people still like them because they are safe, but you're guaranteed to lose money. They're still sold quite a bit. I don't understand that, but that's it's these are tools that people just have become accustomed to using, and that's why I talk about innovative strategies. We got to use new tools.
Mhm.
We got to update our toolbox and get something that's more efficient.
Yeah, and I absolutely love what you're saying, and I'm scribbling all these notes down.
I see you writing over there. Like, are you writing down questions?
Hey, good morning. I believe that's Tim Santos out there. Good morning, brother. How are you?
Morning, Tim.
The deal is, as I'm writing this down, I take a look at construction. So building a home, right?
Okay.
My great grandfather, my dad's granddad, built homes back in the 30s and 40s, through the Depression. And he would go out and he would take wood off of barns and reuse nails and whatever to build these homes using a handsaw, a blade on the back of a tractor, and a hammer. Right.
Right.
Now, doing the same job, you have guns that are run by bullets or batteries to blow the nails in. You've got power saws. You've got laser levels. So we're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But the tools have changed.
Tools have changed. They've become more efficient.
Yeah.
Right. They help you get the job done in a more timely manner. They help you get a better job done. And
yeah.
Although I've built a home and even then, sometimes everything doesn't come out perfect.
Right.
But, that's like any plan, though. No plan that we've talked about. No plan is perfect. But having a plan gives you a base moving forward. And as life happens, you can make adjustments to those plans.
Mm-hmm.
And life will happen. It's I talked about my uncle last week, or my wife's uncle, and he's not doing well. And since then, I heard from another one of her cousins' husband when they went home from the family party to find out that his father had a heart attack and passed away.
Oh, jeez.
You just never know.
Yeah.
But you got to plan for things. So how does the rest of the family get taken care of?
Right. So, and then I think back to when I was a kid going on vacations. Mom and Dad would spend 3 weeks highlighting a map on the kitchen table, arguing about the best route to take and which tolls to avoid, or when not. You don't want to get through Chicago at this time of day, and
Right.
And now we jump in. We have a GPS. We don't even need to know where we're going.
No, she'll tell you.
Right.
He or she will tell you, and they will tell you when you're turning wrong and when you're going the wrong direction.
That's right.
Turn around and do this and that.
Yeah.
And it drives you batty sometimes. But, that's a good point. Even though I love looking at old road maps when I take a road trip, I really love doing that because a GPS doesn't tell you about the scenery and about taking the road less traveled, let's say. So there's a lot to be said for some of the old school ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not saying throw them out. I'm just saying, we need to add and come into the times that we have now.
Yeah.
And use tools that are more efficient and better. I mean, look at even in investing. Okay. So we have mutual funds. Mutual funds are made up of a number of different stocks.
Right.
And a number of shares of each stock. And they're based on weighted averages and whatnot. So then you have ETFs, exchange traded funds. Well, those are made up of mutual funds. So take a whole bunch of mutual funds and put it into an ETF, and now you can trade that. That has a value because of all the stocks that are in it, they can calculate the value.
Yeah.
And people like that because they think they're more diversified. Because now I'm diversified through a whole bunch of mutual funds and not just one. Again, I'll just say if the market goes down 40, 50%, let me know how well protected you feel because you're diversified.
Air quotes. Diversified.
So you need to have more than just an investment strategy. There needs to be more going on than just putting money in the market and having a hope and a prayer that when you get to 65 or whatever age you're going to retire at, that there's enough money there for you to live the rest of your life that you don't know how long it's going to be.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of noise out there right now. with social media, with people who are quote unquote gurus, um, and so as they're talking with somebody like you, who is licensed and do this for a living, you're giving me steps for my plan, and then I tune in on YouTube, and this guy says something totally different
Yeah.
than what you have set up for my plan, or we've set up together.
Yeah, there's a lot of really smart people
Mhm.
in my industry, and then there's a lot of people who are just they're not. It's not that they're not smart; it's that they're just not well trained.
Yeah.
The training in my industry is horrendous at best, non-existent at worst. But so it's learn as you go, and you're on your own. Everybody says, "Oh, bring in your family and your friends. We'll talk to them first."
Right.
Well, that's the last people you want to talk to, and let them know that you don't have a clue what's going on. Right. So they're going to tell everybody else, "No, don't talk to him because he's my son. I love him, but he doesn't know jack right now." And
Right.
give him some time. And there's a lot of smart people in the industry, and they do have different ideas and different thoughts about what's best. And are my ways better than anybody else's? I can't say that. I'm sure there's smarter people than me in the industry. I'll admit to that. But I've been at this a long time. I've been in the financial world 35 plus years, and I have a pretty good feel for what is what makes up a good plan, what makes up a good balanced portfolio.
Right.
One in which protects the assets, meaning your investments and other assets that you may have. And believe it or not, homes are not considered assets. Because you don't know what the value is until you sell it.
That's right.
So we get right back to that.
And you dump a lot of money into it on a monthly basis.
We were talking about Pete over here has some Hot Wheels that he's kind of holding on to for retirement, and hopefully they're worth a lot of money. And I said, well, I can tell you the 600 Beanie Babies I have in my basement are worthless.
That's right. Remember those?
So
get them all.
Yeah. I mean, there are some things that are out there that are of value and whatnot. It's good to collect anything that may have value. My son trades sneakers.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Thousands of dollars.
Trading sneakers.
Yeah. Buying and selling Adidas.
Wow.
Nikes.
Sure.
Stuff. So, you can trade anything.
Yeah.
As long as somebody perceives there to be value and stuff, and you can make money at it.
Now, one of the things that you've helped me realize is life insurance. You're
gonna put me to sleep.
Well, right? Not really, because as a tool, I look at it differently now. Now, when I purchased this, I purchased it with, hey, if I die, my wife, our debts are paid, and they can put dirt on me.
Right.
And you've helped me realize, say, well, wait a minute, there's a monetary aspect to this that you can leverage.
It's a beautiful thing.
And now, as before you helped me realize every month that I had to pay that, I was like, it was tough. Right. Now I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, this is a good thing. You're building a bank.
Yeah, and now I look at it as the death benefit is an added value.
Yeah, that's a nice benefit.
Yeah,
it's a good kicker, but that's not why. That's not the sole purpose for purchasing a whole life policy. But that's how they've been sold. So in the insurance world, it's whole life is the most expensive. Term is the cheapest.
Yeah, but
term runs out. And then you got to buy another one. And guess what? It's a whole lot more expensive 10 or 20 or 30 years later when you're older and maybe not in good health, maybe not even being able to get it.
Yeah.
But then there's in between. There's universal or variable life policies, which they can build cash value, but they're sold on what's called a flexible premium.
Yeah.
Meaning you pay less now. It acts like a whole life policy, but you pay less now and you got to pay more later.
Yeah.
And most people don't pay more later. So the policy then takes that cash value that's been growing and starts using that to pay the difference that you should be paying.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing you know, you get into your 70s or so, and you're thinking, wow, I should really look into that policy and see where it's at. And you find out, oh, it's like got almost no money in it.
Right.
It's almost gone. And people look at me, what do? I go, cash it in.
Yeah.
Well, when should I do that? Yesterday. Because it's worth less today than it was yesterday.
Right.
But then you get a whole life policy. Yes, it's more expensive, but it builds cash value. Premiums are locked in. They don't go up.
Right.
And they don't go down, but the cash value continues to grow. There's a guaranteed side to them of guaranteed growth.
Yeah.
And then there's a non-guaranteed side. The non-guaranteed side includes, if you buy the right policy from the right company, it includes dividends that the company pays out. You reinvest those dividends in the policy, and your money grows even faster. So,
and that's why I say is that's something. And I've been licensed in insurance, but you still you bought it because okay, maybe down the road, but using that tool differently, or using it as a tool rather than
make it a tool.
Right.
Make it your favorite tool. Make it the tool you use every day. I talked about it last week. Buy a car with it.
Yeah.
Because the benefits of taking the money out of the policy, tax-free, pay for a car. All right, now the car is not collateral anymore. You don't have to pay yourself back. I recommend that you
it's wise that you do.
And I recommend you pay it back with the interest that you would have paid as if it were going to a bank. But after that 4 years, you own the car and you got all your money back. Yeah. And it grew compoundedly. I mean, if that doesn't get you a little bit ruffled in the feathers there and get you all excited about life insurance, then we'll have to change the subject because it excites me. It's just a great, smart way to use your money.
Yeah, and that's one of the innovative strategies that we talk about here on Innovative Strategies.
Right.
But that also helps you know where you're at as you're paying yourself back, as you now are watching it grow.
Now you're involved.
Right.
In a day, maybe a month-to-month basis, you're involved in your finances. And, it should excite you because you're watching your money grow. You're using your money and you're giving yourself the money back and you're watching it grow.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised at how fast that can grow and how well you'll be set for retirement time.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to that and knowing where you're at, do you recommend monthly or annual payments for something like that? For the premium.
It depends on the individual.
Okay.
With some companies paying on a monthly basis, there's no additional costs. With other companies, there is, but it's minimal.
Yeah.
It's really small. So that's on an individual basis. What you're comfortable with, where are you at financially? I've had people come to me and say, "Look, I've got an extra $1,500 a month. I don't know what to do with."
Yeah.
Because I don't want to spend it. I want to do something with it, make it productive. And most advisors will lick at their chops at that, right? And say, okay, what can I do to get some biggest commission out of that and use all his money?
Yeah.
Something like a whole life policy is something I might recommend and say, do this. But there's other times I've got clients that have done life insurance policies with me, but not the investment side, which is fine, because they just don't understand the investment side. And I said, yeah, but you take my friend Scott. He owns 3 stores and apartment buildings. That's what he does best. So that's where he should be. Right. That's where he should put his money. He knows cars. He buys and sells old cars. He can drive by a field out in Iowa and see a car sitting out there, and he knows exactly what it is and what it's worth. And he'll go buy that car and bring it back, fix it up, sell it, and make some good money. And I said, that's what you do best.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be investing in the market. But he always asks, but I really want to be in the market. He said, but you don't.
But that's kind of the old way of thinking. It's not an innovative strategy. It's we all grew up in the 70s, 80s, and that's what we were told. Work 30 years, invest in the market, get a pension, retire.
Yeah. Get paid for life.
Paid for life.
That doesn't work anymore.
And so even this guy, your buddy Scott, who is wise in different ways of making money, still has that pinned in his brain going, but I gotta be in there.
Absolutely.
Huh.
It's so ingrained in all of us, and so many of the aspects of that is ingrained in all of us. And what I mean by that is people are so hooked up with the rate of return.
Yeah.
What's my rate of return?
ROI,
Market's up 14% this year. Well, you weren't. Most
Right.
likely. There are funds that can do better than the market, but can they do better on a consistent basis? It's very rare.
Very rare.
But it does happen. But we're all so hooked on this rate of return, and the reality is if you spread it out over 30 years, the rate of return typically is around between 5 and 6%, 5.5%.
Wow.
So a whole life insurance policy, you can get that kind of return without putting the money in the market and having a risk. And it by using it, like I've said, as a bank. And then what you use that policy for later on in life is say those years when the market does go down.
Yeah.
You don't want to say it goes down 20%. You don't want to pull out that 5% you're pulling out each year, because now you're down 25%. What does that mean? That means it takes longer for your money to come back, which means you have less to work with, and it reduces the life of the monies that you have. So what you do is, instead of taking the 5% out, you pull it out of your whole life policy tax-free, and you live on that.
You live on it.
And you don't have to pay it back. That's the beauty of it. It's you. You're borrowing money from yourself. So again, I recommend you pay it back, but in retirement years, you don't have to pay it back. And what it will do is, if you don't pay it back, it reduces the death benefit.
Yeah.
But your death benefit's growing year after year after year, just like your cash value is. So you start off with a $250,000 death benefit, and 10, 20 years later, it might be worth $500,000. You've pulled $100,000 out to use, you didn't pay back.
Yeah.
Well, your death benefit's now $400,000. Okay, so it's not really taking a big hit there.
Right. Now, let's go back to this plan. You've said it in all your shows. You said it here today as well. I'm a guy in my 50s. How far out do I stretch my plan, as opposed to somebody in their 30s? So when you're in your 30s, or like my daughter, just starting her new job or third week on it, retirement's the farthest thing from mind for a young person, right? So as you talk about this plan, how far do I take this plan out? 5 years, 10 years, 30?
Well, so they came up with a new strategy in that category, and it's called target date funds. So if your daughter's workplace has a 401k, I can guarantee you that they're going to have target dated funds, which means years, right now it would be years 2025, then 2030, then 2035 and 2040, and so on. So you can pick the year that you expect to be retiring in.
Okay.
Right. Pick the target date fund as close to that year as possible. And what happens is as you go through life and get older and older, the monies in that fund shift.
Yeah.
They shift from a heavily invested side to more of an insurance side. So that you're reducing the risk over time. Is it the most efficient way to do it? There's a lot of argument about that.
Sure.
I can go both sides on that, but it's better than nothing. That's for sure. It's better than not taking any plan of action.
Yeah. So as you are sitting with somebody to design an innovative strategy and plan, you're listening to what their needs, maybe goals are, and saying, okay, let's look at the next 30 years. Let's look at the next 10 years, next year or something.
Yeah. I mean, it's all based on that conversation. So you don't sit here and go, okay, I'll be back in 3 days, and we're going to have this whole big plan.
Right. You're 52. I gotcha.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
A plan is put together. It's like a puzzle, right? It's piece by piece.
Okay.
And is what I feel is the most efficient, best way to put a plan together is, what are your initial concerns? Do you have a huge mortgage that if you were to pass it, that, your family's going to have to sell the house and move and be so disrupted. So maybe we need to look at some insurance. Maybe it's just term insurance for that purpose.
Right.
But other people have issues with their concerns about health. I mean, the amount of people getting some sort of mental disability is skyrocketing.
Yeah.
And that type of care is extremely expensive.
Ooh. Yeah.
Gets way up there. We've talked about that with my mother, and gets it can get into the tens of thousands of dollars per month.
Right. But at the same time, a 25-year-old kid, as I call him kid, but 25-year-old kid, puts a plan together, and life happens. That plan may have to shift, adjust. I mean, it's not like, well, I was 25, I set this up with Mr. Hasse, and that's it for the rest of my life. Right?
You'd be surprised how many people actually under the age of 65 do use a long-term care policy, are using the benefits, because it can happen at any time in life. But you're right. And the thing about doing it when you're 25, 30 years old, it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
It's a lot less expensive.
Oh, yeah.
You're healthy. You're probably not on medications. And it's just way less expensive to get into. And the values will grow over more years.
Yeah.
So, the benefits increase even more dramatically. But again, we say, okay, but if you're in your 50, 55, 60, it's much more expensive, but you have more money, typically. And so people have a tendency to, as we go, your daughter's 25, she's starting off, and let's say it's $60,000 a year, and next year she's gonna make 65, and so on, and then lo and behold, 10 years from now she's making 120, 130,000, and but the problem is she's learned to live on that. She spends it all.
Right.
And we all do that.
That's right.
I am as guilty as anybody, and we all do that. We find ways to spend that money and enjoy life and whatnot. But
and how? Yeah.
But so I have one client, a gal with AbbVie, and her next move up in a position is a very big move with a lot of extra income. And I said, look, you're already doing very well. You guys are living a wonderful life. You're able to take vacations. You're able to you're even looking at a vacation home.
Yeah.
So when you get this, you might want to really consider options about how to put this money away, or at least, maybe half.
Yeah.
Make plans so that you don't wind up getting accustomed to spending that money, because let me tell you, when you lose that job, world comes crashing down, because all of a sudden life around you is really expensive and you got used to it. And how do you maintain that? And it's really about maintaining lifestyle. What kind of lifestyle do you want to have in retirement? And I can let people, I don't know. I want to live the same way I'm living now. I want to live the same way I was living when I was working up until I retired. I want to go on with that same kind of income and that same kind of lifestyle. And it's like, okay, but if you didn't have a plan to put that in place, that may not be an option.
Right. Not even close.
And people say, well, fine, I'll go live in an adobe hut down in New Mexico or something and drive an old Volkswagen. And life won't cost that much.
That actually sounds like a good life for me. I'd be okay with that.
I probably wouldn't mind that too much either. My wife might have something different to say about that.
Right. Absolutely. So as folks, you've got 21.6 The Net. This is Innovative Strategies with Bill Hasse. If you have questions about an innovative strategy, a plan, anything of that nature, email Bill at haase.bill@gmail.com. That's hasse.bill@gmail.com. He would absolutely, or send us a question at 216thenet@gmail.com, and we'll get it over to Bill. Absolutely. The show all about your money and thinking differently with your money and making a plan around your money, because I don't care what anybody says, nobody is ever financially free, because the world runs on money.
It does.
You might have a lot and have different choices.
And we use the money for measuring everything, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, what kind of car does that guy drive?
Yeah.
Hey, look at that. How big is his house? It's we use money to judge. We use money to gauge. We use money for a number of different reasons, and necessarily a fan of that because happiness is more important to me than money. And does money bring happiness? It can for some. They say that
depends where you shop.
Well, they say that money brings out more of who you are.
Yeah.
The more money you have, you are more of who you are.
Yep.
And meaning if you're a really nice person and
you give more.
You make a lot of money, you're going to continue to be even a nicer person.
Yeah.
And if you're a mean person, you're just going to get more mean. And like I said, 20 years in the trading pits, I saw that all over the place.
Well, and here's something I want to ask you about your strategies and dealing with people. We haven't seen in quite some time now is inflation.
Yeah.
Right. We've seen it crawl. I mean, prices always crawl up or whatever, but lately through the roof. And
depends who you talk to. I mean, there's really no inflation. I mean, you don't read about it in the papers or hear about it in the news.
Of course not.
Look at things. But go to the gas pump.
Yeah, open your eyes, right?
Now for me, I filled up the car the other day and it was $75.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Right. I remember when I was 40.
Yeah, just a few months ago.
And they're calling this hyperinflation,
right? Meaning
short-lived.
I'm not swallowing that pill yet.
Yeah, it's hard to swallow that pill. I can understand why they come out with some of that, okay? Because one of the things that is creating hyperinflation is the fact that we can't get enough product on the shelves.
Correct.
We can't make enough. We can't manufacture enough.
Walk through a grocery store.
Yeah, you just. Nobody can get employees. I had my son's engagement party this past weekend, and I go to pick up the food that I was having a caterer put together, and it was a nightmare
because they just didn't have
the
workforce,
the employees there to get it all together, and it was a short panic there. It was whether or not I was going to have food for a whole bunch of people coming over to my house.
Oh, slew of fellas.
But so that is part of the problem, and once the manufacturing gets beefed up and whatnot, then it may help level out pricing, but it's really hard when you start charging more money to pull back on what you're charging. Nobody's going to give you that break going forward. They're going to take advantage of it, even though their costs might go down.
Yeah.
The really big problem with this is if it is true inflation and not just a short-term thing. Our federal government has, in its infinite wisdom, decided not to front-run inflation with raising interest rates, which is how you fight inflation.
Correct.
They have decided that they're going to chase the tail.
Yep.
I come from the days of Alan Greenspan, and who was a master at front-running inflation. Yep. And I just don't see how that's a good strategy to chase after. It's like holding the tail of a lion. You're never going to get it under control if you're chasing it.
Right.
So that to me is a concern.
Yeah. So, so as you're working with strategies, you're looking at that aspect as well. You have to. Yeah.
You have to look at economics. And you have to understand, unfortunately, because I was in interest rate futures, I learned a lot about economics internationally, nationally. So I can see and understand more things going on. You absolutely have to look at that. I mean, there's inflation anyway every year.
Always
a dollar. So a dollar today is worth not as much a year from now,
right?
And then 2 and 5 and 10 and 30 years from now. So you do have to account for that. Life's going to get more expensive. You get into retirement, everybody thinks, woo, I just whip it up.
But again, if you don't know where you are, and that's the whole thing of today, where are you?
Yeah.
Where are you at is your plan that you have been living on over the last 10 years, 20 years, whatever, may not have factored in hyperinflation, quote unquote. And now your
market corrections.
Now your plan may be a little bit behind, perhaps.
Yeah, and we're a little bit asleep right now because we've had a good 12+ year run in the market where it's done nothing but go up, and it's unprecedented, and it's awesome. And I'm not saying that's going to change anytime soon. I don't know, but I will say it will at some point. What goes up must come down.
And you've said it always, the house doesn't like to lose, right?
The house does not like to lose. And there's a lot of different strategies to play out for those types of scenarios. But the idea is to balance what you have.
Yeah.
And balance meaning, have those investments, but also have the protection of those investments and of those assets. That's what a pension was.
Yeah.
A pension was a well-balanced portfolio. And the beauty of a pension was it was guaranteed for life.
There's some insurance involved.
As long as you live, you're going to get that check.
Or your spouse.
Or your spouse. And you're going to get the Social Security. So you know what your income is. That is number one most important thing in planning and retirement. What is your income going to be? And you have that conversation. Well, where do you want it to be? Okay, and then we'll talk about it, and then we'll say, okay, then where do we have here, and where do we need to put it in order to get that guaranteed income?
Yeah,
and then what's left over is the play money. But you want to have that guaranteed income, and you actually, there's ways to do inflation protection on that, that money.
Yeah.
But but like I said, everybody's different.
Yeah.
Every plan is different. Everyone has different concerns, issues.
Yeah, but if I just walk aimlessly through life and go, well, Bill, now here's the other thing, I guess. I set this plan up 15 years ago with somebody who's retired now. Yeah. But hey, I'm still good. Are you? I mean,
yeah. Good point. Like, again, where are you at?
Yeah.
Really good point, and that's not uncommon. Or your advisors change companies.
Yeah.
And maybe he's changed them several times. There's a reason for that. And I'm on my third company.
Right.
Basically, because I got in, then I had to figure out where I fit and what I thought was important. Then what company has that same mindset? And then how do I get into that company? But then somebody might mislead you and say, oh yeah, we do all that.
Right.
This is what we do. And then you get there and they don't.
Right.
So then you have to find another place. So there's some juggling around about that. There's others, again, I talked about this. It's just horrendous training and whatnot. And some of the training that goes on is false.
Yeah.
I know somebody at a well-known named company that he'd been at, and he's very high up the ladder with it. But he said, I feel terrible about what I've done over the years because I've misled folks.
Yeah.
Or, didn't harm people.
No.
But could have done better. Because, like I say, a lot of advisors are really...
And he was very, very successful at what he did.
Top 5 in the country.
Yeah. Very, very successful.
Yeah. With his company.
Right.
But, and again, most advisors are either investments or insurance, and not as many, I'd say about 15, 20% actually do understand the value of working with both towards the same common goal.
Yeah.
Not just having them in play, but actually working for you. And so what you have. Because when you got that policy the first time you got it, you were, like you said, you were looking at it for a death benefit.
That's it.
If you're looking at it for a death benefit, why didn't you just buy a term?
I don't know.
You wanted to waste more money out of your pocket?
Yeah. Well, you know what? The reason was when I started it, I got in before I was 50. So I was like, hey, there's a good time.
Yes. Yeah.
And I really, my plan, being an entrepreneur, has shifted so many times that I really looked at it and says, man, I'm 50. I got nothing.
Yeah.
This will give me, if I don't die, or my wife, or what, so I really kind of looked at it first for the life insurance benefit, but then, well, by the time I'm 70, it'll be worth X if I don't die. But,
yeah. And there you go. The mindset.
Yeah.
The old school mindset that I did it for the death benefit.
Yeah.
Folks, you really got to get past that, because that's just an added bonus.
Yeah. That's what it is now.
It really is an added bonus. And it's just because, and again, there's that training in our industry that says, go out there and sell this and get people to understand they're going to die. and it's going to be at the worst possible time, and there's going to be a panic, and then there's going to be a whole financial issue because of it. And you got to take care of your family, and scare tactics and things of that nature. Not a fan of that, but in some instances, a little bit of scare tactics is what's needed because it is reality.
That's right.
I mean, it's just how you use it. Don't use it in a falsehood. Use it in truth.
Right. And it's tough you can be insurance poor through life, right? With your medical insurance, your homeowners, your car insurance, your, insurance, on all the things, you got a home warranty or whatever, right?
Right. Yeah. You pay all those different insurances and it's use it or lose it.
Right. Right.
So why not pay, if you're paying for some insurance on your life, why not have it be something you can use?
Not to lose it, right?
No matter what.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is important. And I had a thought and I lost it, but it'll come back.
Where are you at?
Yeah, where am I at? Well, here's the thing. So okay, let's say you don't have a plan. You just walk through life and everything's going to be, I'll be fine. I can always just keep working, whatever. But the reality is, okay, now Medicare kicks in. All right, well, there's my insurance. There's my health insurance. You better look into that.
Right.
And Medicare only goes so far. Supplements only go so far. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they're important. Yes, you must take a part of that. And yes, please do. But do not believe that it's going to take care of everything in your life should you have an illness and a long-term illness.
Yeah.
It's more catastrophic. But also it's the same thing with investments. It's like all of a sudden they just moved it up to age 72 for RMDs, required minimum distributions.
Right.
So folks, you got to know about this stuff because you have to take money out because the government wants its taxes. That's the whole point. So you take money out. And if you don't, because you think, no, I'm not doing it because the man's telling me I have to. I mean, shot, no shot kind of thing. Right. So the problem is they'll take 50%. They'll take a whole bunch of penalties if you don't play the game because they want their money
right now. Boom.
And they've made a deal. All right. We're not going to tax you now, but we are going to tax you later. And why do they make that deal? Because probably they believe taxes are going to be higher.
Sure.
And a lot of people go into retirement saying, yeah, but my tax rate's going to drop. Not really.
Yeah.
In fact, it's more common to see it, if not stay the same, potentially go up because yes, tax brackets can go up, and I believe there's a bill in play right now about that very subject.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that, but
here in America,
yeah. I mean, we saw corporate tax rates go up.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
You have to. It's very difficult for everyone to understand all these aspects.
So let me ask you a question, and you may not want to answer this or even know how to answer this. The United States government now is giving the child credit. I don't know what it's called exactly. I'm not an accountant, but now I've got a daughter who's under the age of 17. So they're giving me $250 each month for my daughter as a child credit that I used to get at one time when I would do my taxes. How do I play that into my plan or my strategy? Because this is just now money that's showing up.
That's an awesome question. I definitely want to answer because it's a you got to really understand this one. So they're just front running you. Your tax deduction they were going to give you at the end of the year when you go to do your taxes, they're giving you that money up front. So that deduction is no longer there. It's going to be gone, or a good portion of it is gone. So if you're counting on that deduction at the end of the year to help you reduce the amount of taxes you pay or even the tax bracket you're in,
right?
I got news for you. It's not going to happen. So I was talking to a CPA here locally about this, and he said, because people don't understand that this year they're getting $5,000 back because they had that whole deduction. Well, next year they're paying $4,000 if they were to do the exact same thing and everything, nothing changed. They would wind up paying $4,000 because they don't get that deduction.
Oh,
and it's like, okay, but if you're counting on that return,
right,
you're overpaying your taxes, and we can argue about all that stuff too, but you're overpaying your taxes and you're expecting that because you want to pay your property taxes with that.
I was just going to say, in the mortgage industry, I talk to a lot of people who say, no, I don't want escrow. I use my tax return to pay my my real estate taxes.
Yeah.
Not so much now.
And wait until you do your 2021 taxes.
Yeah.
And you've been getting that money front run to you, and you're in that situation or position, that's going to come back to haunt you on the back end.
So really, hey, it goes back to what you said earlier in this show: is you've learned to live without it.
Yeah.
Don't go out and spend it. Hey, tuck it away because you're going to want to have
that money into something that works for you.
Yeah.
Put that into something that's actually going to gain for you, so that you can cover that loss at the end of the year that you're going to see.
Right.
And most people don't understand. They think this is just all part of the extension of government just giving you money.
That's right.
It's not. It's a loan.
Yeah. A monthly loan.
It's a monthly stipend that we're gonna take back at the end of the year.
Right. Because and a lot of people don't do their own taxes now. So several just take it over to H&R Block or their accountant or whatever, and they don't know that one of the questions that's asked on your tax return is, how much was your tax return? How much did you pay or did you receive last year?
Yep.
Because they tax that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So you gave them the money, extra money to use for the year.
Yeah.
And then they come back and give it back to you, and then they hit you up for it. They hit you.
They hit you again. That's right.
It's there's so many ways to look at double taxation and whatnot, and it's incredible because, like I've said, when you look at that pie, life pie, financial pie, majority of it is going to interest that you're paying on debt. And we just saw this.
Yeah.
I just got a text this morning that we have surpassed $15 trillion in debt.
The United States.
People in the United States of America, we have run up our debt to over $15 trillion.
Wow.
It's an amazing number. Because people sit there and go, well, look at the government, they're overspending and it's $33 trillion. Well, half of that, we carry as debt. So in that financial pie, we're paying a whole bit of that money that we have coming in to just interest. And then another big chunk is taxes. And the smallest chunk is what we put in savings, but the next smallest is what we have to spend for ourselves. And so that's what I do in trying to help people and bring peace of mind. I'm trying to reduce the debt.
Yeah.
So reduce the interest that you're paying out, reduce your tax scenario, and increase the amount of money you have to play. That's really a simplified way of looking at it. But it's not that it's terribly difficult, but that if that's not what you do for a living, then it's probably hard to understand. I mean, if you don't know how to build a car, it's probably pretty complicated. But if you do, it's not that big a deal.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, and that is fantastic. I think now to know exactly where you're at. That's what we're talking about today. Where are you at? How often should I look at my plan, at my balances?
If you have an advisor, you're gonna. Most good advisors will talk to you at the very least once a year.
Yeah.
You can, a couple times a year. It doesn't hurt. Most of my clients are people that almost become family-like to me, so I'm kind of in touch with them all the time.
Right.
And so I know when something's going, life has changed for them. Whether it's a divorce or a child goes to college or gets married or you want to move, you need to make changes or adjustments. You've changed a job or you're out of work. So life happens, and be in touch with your advisor.
Yeah.
I would say don't try and make any major financial move without. talking to an advisor, and even then, it's an example I can give you is I know this woman. She was buying her son a condo down in the city.
Yep.
So she was going to give him $75,000. I said, okay, where is it? She goes, well, I'll give it to him when he buys a condo. I go, no. First of all, you can't give $75,000 to somebody else without them paying taxes.
That's right.
All right, because you can give them like $16,000. I think it's $16,500 or something right now. You can give as a gift. But I said, but the rest of it's a taxable event.
Yeah.
And I said, so what did your advisor say? He said, just let us know when he's found the condo. And I go, okay, not a very good advisor, because now you're going to liquidate. That's money you're going to pay taxes on because you've liquidated it in capital gains. You got to pay taxes on that. All right. And that may change your income bracket too, because that's a lot of money. Or not your income bracket, your tax bracket. That's a lot of money. Right. But on top of that, when you give it to your son, he's going to have to pay taxes on it.
Yeah.
So it's not $75,000 anymore. Now it's $100,000 or more. And and I said, on top of that, how are you going to get it in his bank account? Because he's inside of 2 months, he's already bidding on a condo, he's buying it, and now he's going to have a letter of explanation for the underwriter to do the loan. Where did money come from?
That's right. Absolutely have to.
How did $75,000 just pop up in your account?
Yeah.
So they want to know why and how. And is it a gift? Do you have to pay it back? Is it a loan? That's
it better be a gift.
It better be a gift. But yeah, and the reality is I told this person, I said, well, the only way this is going to happen financially for you in the best manner is you have to co-sign the loan. Then the money can come from anywhere.
That's right. That's what I was going to recommend.
Yeah. Well, I knew you knew that.
Absolutely. And we're rolling in on the last 3 minutes of the show. This has been Innovative Strategies. Today we've been talking about where are you at, and knowing where you're at with your plan, your strategy, having target dates, things of that nature, not necessarily looking at it every minute of every day or every hour. Right. You're going to drive yourself insane.
It's the point of having a plan, so you have peace of mind, so you don't have to look at it all the time.
Yeah.
You're in a good position.
Yep. And it's if you don't have a plan, contact Bill, haase.bill@gmail.com. He does a fantastic job. And listen to what I'm going to say here, folks. He is licensed at what he does. I don't know in what states or countries, but he's got contacts all around the country. He's got contacts all around the world. He's been in the industry over 30 years. He can give you direction. He can help you with that. Reach him at haase.bill@gmail.com. And he'll, unless I'm speaking out a step there, Bill, am I right with saying that?
No, you're all good. I don't do anything internationally,
right?
But I do have a lot of friends international, but just from the old days. But and I am licensed in a number of states, but it's nothing for me. It's very easy to get licensed in a state.
Yeah.
You just pay a fee. And so if there's somebody in a state that I'm not licensed in currently, I can within 10 days get licensed
to help them out.
And I've done that a number of times.
Yeah, and again, I'll reiterate this because he said it on other shows. When you reach out to him, he's just going to listen. You're going to have a conversation. He's not going to have a calculator. He's not going to say, "Here's the best thing for you." Let's get to know each other, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's interview each other and make sure we can work together.
Yeah, absolutely. So. All right. That music swinging in can only mean one thing. It's time for us to say adios. Absolutely. Thank you for joining us, Bill. As always, great stuff. This has been Innovative Strategies here, 216 The Net. Reach them at haase.bill@gmail.com. Come back at noon for Mike and Fran Unrehearsed, and 12:30 for questions you never thought you could ask in church. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for joining.